Hi, my name is Kathy Wilson. I'm reading a piece titled Desperately Seeking Oliver. We're already in the emotional turbulence of menopause. I had to put my dog Oliver to sleep, as the phrase goes. It was devastating. He was my comfort. My sweet, loving Oliver filled my void for 14 years. It pained me to watch this dog that I loved so much getting feeble. His black back legs frequently gave out. He was kind of getting disoriented, becoming incontinent, but the decisive factor was the growth in his jaw. The vet explained that Oliver's jaw was malignant and giving the other problems. He could not withstand an operation. Soon he would not be able to eat. During this time, my mother was in very much the same condition. She suffered a series of strokes that left her inarticulate and confined to a wheelchair, existing in that limbo between life and death. "You killed your dog?" exclaimed my therapist. I did not find those words very helpful or supportive. I felt grief, guilt, and horror. The evening that we went to the Animal Medical Center, my husband, my 10-year-old daughter, Christina, and I knew that Oliver would not return home. I kept petting him as we waited in silence. By chance, in the waiting room was an adorable black Labrador retriever puppy, a symbol of rebirth. Oliver was a medium-sized mutt who predominantly looked like a black lab, except he had little white spots on his chest and his paws. He would follow me around into every room. I mean, he just seemed content being with me. Oliver, he was the kind of dogs you wanted to say hello to. "Wilson!" Oh, the vet shouted my name. I elected to accompany Oliver. I always thought of myself as his mother, his protector. Oliver loved me and he needed me. He was already 4 years old when our daughter Christina was born in the month of October. It seemed he could not bear to share me with her. Slowly he became depressed. His hair started to fall out. He developed boils. I would sit on the couch to nurse Christina, my one arm holding her close to my breast, the other hand petting Oliver, who was huddled against my knee. I tried to show him that I still loved him, but nothing worked until Christmas morning. Oliver was sitting with his snout turned to the corner of the room. My husband and I had decided to give him his Christmas presents first. Oliver, he came over, he wagged his tail, and then he tore open the packages with his teeth to discover a rawhide bone and a toy bear we'd gotten him. This was amazing. This was actually the turning point. From then on, his health got better and he grew to adore Christina. The vet's voice interrupted my thoughts. He was advising me to leave the room. "It would be better. It will only take a few minutes. He'll be peaceful." Oh no, I would not abandon Oliver. I put my arms around him as he sat on the table, so trusting. I whispered in his ear that I loved him. The vet was shaving his paw. The lethal needle was about to go in, and I wanted to cry, "No, no, 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 stop." But the needle was inserted and I felt his body tense, and Oliver gave out a wail. He knows, I thought, he knows he's dying. He knows I allowed it. He knows. He was limp. He no longer knew anything. The horror. He did not look peaceful. He looked ravaged. He did not look like Oliver anymore. He was this empty, staring animal. His spirit was gone. There was no trace of his wonderful personality. I understood now. It might have been better for me to come back when his eyes were closed and he looked peaceful. We all cried for weeks. My daughter asked for his collar as a keepsake. Oh, my life changed drastically. Suddenly, I became aware of a loneliness and emptiness, a longing of such intensity, I thought I might die of it. As a child, I had another dog. From birth until I was 12, Muggsy died, his name, just before I was entering puberty. Then my father died suddenly later that year. Now, after Oliver's death, my mother died a few months later. Both times during this hormonal turbulence, my emotions were further affected by the anguish I felt with these losses. The first cycle launched me into womanhood and life, the second, closer to death. My mother's passing, it saddened me. She was my mother, and I loved her very deeply. But Oliver, he had been a substitute for all she was unable to give. Oliver's death, combined with menopause, filled me with a state, I don't know, turmoil, depression. It took a long time for me to heal emotionally. Even now, more than 3.5 decades later, at times I feel an emptiness, very much in need of comfort, desperately seeking Oliver.